Hi, my name's Ed Gregory for Photos in Colour, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this amazing low poly portrait in Photoshop. So this is the final image here, and we got to it from this photo just here. Now, the original image I took on my iPhone, I imported into Photoshop, I removed the background, and basically that's the image we're going to start with. So let's jump over to Photoshop and see what we have to do. So here we are in Photoshop with the very basic image. Now, low poly basically means when you're doing 3D imaging, everything in 3D works in tiny little polygons or triangles, and put those together and you get these beautiful smooth edges. Now, if you reduce the quality of that, you get the triangles get bigger, and that's why this is called a low poly, low quality polygon, I think it stands for. So to get started, how are we going to do this? Well, it's very simple. All we're going to be doing is, you can see the quality of this image isn't very high at all. We're going to be taking the polygon selection tool, and I'm going to show you the different stages that we need to go through to make this. And we're going to create a triangle. So let's make a triangle of my hair over here. So this is what we're going to be doing, is creating this triangle. We're going to turn that into a new layer, which is Command J. Okay, selecting that, we're going to Command and click, which is going to select the triangle. Then we go Filter, Blur, and Average. There we go. Now, if I unselect that, what you're going to see is basically all that has done is I've created a triangle or polygon, which is the average color of wherever I make it. So I made it in the hair about here, and it's averaged all of those colors. Basically, all we need to do is that all over the face. So to help us, we're going to make an action which is going to help us do all of these things. So how are we going to make this action? Now, to make things simple as well, because we need to make sure that all of these triangles, as we make them, so if I make another one here, if I quickly, I'm just going to make one like so. Oh, I need to select that layer. I'm going to quickly make a new one. Okay, so what you're going to see here is if I hide the background, you can see that these polygons are not lined up. So what we need to do is get these polygons to always be touching, and the corners of the triangle need to always be touching, like so. Now, you don't want to do it like I just did it there by dragging and stretching things. So there's some very easy things that we can do. Okay, the first thing that we can do is to our layer, we add an adjustment layer, a layer style, sorry, and we add a stroke of 1 pixel inside. Now that's going to give us a really nice outline so we can see all of our triangles, which actually is very simple. The other thing we're going to do to help us is add a grid. Okay, so let's just delete those layers because we really don't need those. So delete those 2 layers there. Okay, so if we go Command H, what that does is that brings up a grid over the top of our image, and by doing this, it's basically a set of guides that can help us. So if you want to change how your grid looks, you go to Photoshop, Preferences, and you go down to Guides, Grid, and Slices. Okay, now in the Preferences panel here, if you go down to the Grid section and grid line every, now you can change this to say 50 pixels. So now this grid line watching the background is going to get a lot bigger. Or, let's just go back into our preferences. We might want to make that only 10. And that's going to go even smaller. You can also change the color so that it stands out more or less. Now, I had it on yellow because in this image, it means that I can actually see what I'm doing through it. I also make it dashed lines or dots. I'm sorry, dashed lines, because that allows me to see actually through the lines. If it was solid, it actually, you can't see what's behind it. So I prefer to have it on dashed lines. Okay, so now we've got that sorted. What we're going to do is make sure that we go View, Snap, snap needs to be selected and snap to grid, and that means that whenever I make a new polygon now, you will see that it actually jumps to the corner of my grid, and that means that I can get things nicely aligned while creating this. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is create an action to create all of our triangles for our face. Really simple. Took a while to get there, but it is all going to make sense now. We're going to create a new action. So we come up to actions at the top here. I'm going to create a new folder, okay, or a new set, and I'm going to call this polygon. Low poly, I'll call this. Low poly. Hit OK, and then I'm going to add my first action to that. Okay, so new action. I'm going to call this average. Okay, and function key, I'm going to set this to F1. Now that's really important. Okay, F1. Do you need shift? You don't. Yes, you need to have shift down as well. Very simple. Okay, and then I'm going to hit record. Now stop that, because we don't actually want to start recording until we are selected on a different layer. Okay, it'll make sense in a moment. So let's just make a new blank layer, and let's make a triangle on that layer. Okay, so we're going to make a polygon just to get us started. So let's make a polygon just here. Now it doesn't matter what shape your polygon is. Okay, so once we're at this point on a new layer and with a polygon already made, now this is crucial. Now this is where we're going to add all the things that is going to help us make this entire thing. So we're going to come up to actions and hit record, which is the bottom down here. Now once I hit record, it's going to record everything that I do. So the first thing I do is I click on background. It's going to add that to select the background layer. I'm going to hit Command J, which is going to make that into a new layer. Now that layer I'm going to name polygon, like so. And then what I'm going to do is command click that, and that's going to select the triangle again. And then I'm going to go up to filter, blur, average. That's going to average that section. I'm then going to double click on the polygon. I'm going to add a stroke of 1 pixel on the inside. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to, importantly here, I'm going to go Command D to deselect. Now, press stop. All done. I can make a new polygon over here, like so. Oh, that's my polygon, and hit up here. It says average. If I've got that selected, hit play, and that's going to make my polygon on a new layer with those effects added. Absolutely great. So here, remember, we did have the F1, so I don't have to keep on clicking play. Is going to do the same thing. I go Shift F1. It's going to do that. So now all I have to do is keep this polygon selection here, and then I'm going to go through, and I'm going to make a triangle. Hit F1, and then I'm just going to go through like so, make a triangle, and hit F1. Okay, and all I need to do is go over my entire image, hit F1, like so. Really, really simple. Now, a few things to remember when going over your images to do this is follow all the different lines and create different groups. So, if you follow the lines, for example, of my sunglasses, I'm going to take the grid off so you can see this. I'm going to go into my section which I've already created the image, and I can now go through and select different things. So, for example, if I come through here and I go glass frame, what happens, let me just turn all the other items off, and you can actually see I can turn off each of these items. So my glass frame I can turn on, and then I can start adding things to that. I can add on the lenses to this, and I can add on my hat. So now all of these different things I'm adding to it, and that's basically how I'm going to do this. Now, do we want all of those black lines? We can get those to go away really quickly and really, really simply. And I'm going to show you how right now with this great thing. So on all of my different layers down here, so if I just open up hat, for example, you're going to see hundreds of polygons that I've created, and each one has an effect of a stroke. And I can turn those off and on individually. It's going to take me a long time. So instead, all I do is I go to up here, we go to layer, layer style, hide all effects. Click on that, and you're going to see they're all going to disappear. And now what that's allowed me to do is if I was to add on my shirt, and I can add on my skin, as I've got one called, this is going to create this entire image for how I want it to look. And I can do different things with it now. I can turn my skin, I can turn, for example, my, what looks quite good. My glasses, I'm going to keep my glasses to be real. Okay, glass frame, turn those off. And now this is a guy wearing normal glasses, but it's on this weird kind of skin type. Okay, anyway, so once you've got all of those different layers created, there's a few things that you might want to do. If we come in here, you might see, now you might find out that some of your layers do not connect very well. So for example, what you might find is if you go over here to select, auto select in the top here, on one of your triangles may have been misaligned, something like that. By creating lots of different layers, what you can then do is move them into place like so, or is so if you see here, you may have got it a little bit wrong, so you can just move it into place. Now sometimes you might have to do a bit of a transform, do a distort on it, and then you can kind of stretch it and you can actually move it into place. Anyway, that's my tutorial on how to make a low poly portrait of yourself using just an iPhone photo. If you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up and say I like it. And also subscribe to my channel, wherever it is, and watch some of my other videos. Head over to photosincolor.com, and there's a full tutorial over there as well, which explains it in lots of detail. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Gregory for photosincolor.com.